Welcome to our second genealogy lesson. We are continuing to look further into FamilySearch, and if you saw the first segment, you know that this is one of my favorite genealogy sites. Also, if you saw their first session, you know that the research question that we're using as a case study is, was Victoria Joan Smosh, my grandmother, who married Felix Marcel Shabinsky, my grandfather, was she born in Chicago, Illinois on November 17th, 1913? That's certainly the information she told us, that my mother told us, but I wanted to double check whether that information was in fact true. So as we look further into FamilySearch, we're going to be looking at the different search functions. And so for this one, we're going to be focusing on searching the records and searching by name. And so as you click on search, you will get to a page that gives you several different options. To search, we're going to focus on the first, looking at the ancestor's name. And so I utilized her first name and her last name. And the first search results yielded 582 records. So we're going to look at how to narrow that down. A couple different options you can see from this slide in the left column. You can narrow it by a life event, and that gives you options to look at the location and dates of the event. You can also narrow it down by relationship. The other one that I really enjoy is looking at how to narrow it down by location. So we're going to focus on the events collections, and if you are looking at the FamilySearch page while we're going through this, you want to show all the results because that'll focus on those collections, and then sort by title. So in this slide, you can see where I did that. And the reason I like sorting by title is typically the collections are named for their location, either the country, the state, the county that the collection came from. And then you're able to select those specifically. So instead of looking at 582 collections when I know I believe they just lived in Illinois, I can focus on Illinois state records and Illinois Cook County records. And so that's what I did by clicking on the boxes next to those items. The other ways that you can narrow down the search, I did use the year. So I just looked at the year that I believe she was born and the year after, because some records, depending on how they're indexed, are set up that way. And then I used an asterisk to then look at different spellings of her last name, because sometimes they were misspelled within the record itself, and sometimes they were misspelled when they were indexed. If there was an extra loop in the handwriting, there might be an extra R in the last name. So you can see here that we have two results that I specifically want to take a closer look at. So even with the work that I've done so far in narrowing it down, not all of the results are the person and the family that I'm wanting to focus on, but these first two results certainly are: a birth register and a birth certificate. And so we're going to look at the birth register first, just to talk a little bit more about what to then do with these records. So with the birth register, there is not an image available, and because the register images are not available directly through the Cook County genealogy website, they're also not linking back to that. But that doesn't mean that the image doesn't exist. We've got the information here to then go searching for that. If you're not seeing it right away, you can click on the little I. It doesn't have a star on it. I added that. You can click on the little I and it'll open up that information. And what I like to do is copy and paste that information plus the citation either into my research log or a text box so that I can reference it when I go to the next step. So we see here in the middle the information that was transcribed from the record, but we don't want to stop here. While it's verifying the information we believe to be true, There may be additional information in the image. It also may have been transcribed incorrectly. So if we can access the original image, we want to, because we want to check that the image was transcribed correctly and that whether there's other information available. But first, you want to save the information that you found so that you can come back to it or use it in your next step. One of the other things that FamilySearch has added recently is an additional historical records tool. And typically, if you're looking at the page results, so if I clicked on her name and it opened into its own page, you'll see below this information another section of the page that will suggest other possible records for the individual. And that's a great tool to see if you've found and used those records before, and if you haven't, you can add it to your research log for next steps in your research. So in putting this lesson into practice, and we will go a little bit further in the next lesson, but we want to stop here just to kind of regroup. So conduct a search for a specific ancestor by name based on the research question that you had. Use the known or believed information to filter those results if you got too many results to scan through to begin with. Filter by the collections if you're getting results from a lot of different states and you know they just lived in maybe one or two. And then update your research log so that you know where you looked and what you found. And the other piece too is recording negative results. So if you are not finding the results that you're looking for in the location you believed them to be, record that as well, because a collection of negative results can lead to an answer to your research question, just maybe not the answer that you were looking for. And as always, send any questions that you have to me or post them in the comments section. And I look forward to seeing you at our next lesson.